Level 1, the tail. You're 27. You washed out of the police academy in week 9. Bad knee, they said, but you know it was the psych eval. You answer a Craigslist ad for a surveillance assistant at a two-man agency above a dry cleaner. The guy who hires you smells like cigarettes and has a coffee mug that says, "World's Okayest Detective." He is not being ironic. Your first job, sit in a Honda Civic on a residential street in the suburbs and photograph a man who may or may not be faking a back injury. You sit there for 9 hours. The man comes outside once to get his mail. He does not bend over. You eat a gas station sandwich and need to pee into a bottle and do not feel like a detective. But on day 3, he carries a 40-pound bag of mulch from his car to his garden, and you get the shot. Your boss slaps the desk and says, "That's $18,000 in denied claims right there. It's the first time in your life you've caught somebody, and it feels better than it should." Level 2, the skip tracer. You're 29. You've left the agency and gone solo. Solo meaning a desk in your spare bedroom, a laptop, and a PI license that cost you $300 and a background check. You specialize in skip tracing, finding people who don't want to be found. Debt skips, custody skips, the occasional bail jumper. You learn that people are creatures of habit, even when they're running. They call their mothers. They use the same email handle they've had since 2003. They check in at the bar they grew up near. You find a man in Tucson who'd been missing for 2 years, using a Facebook account he made for a fake name, but linked to his real phone number. People are not as clever as they think, but you're also not making real money yet. You charge $400 a case and work 15 of them a month. It's enough to eat. Some months, it's enough to drink too, which is the danger sign you ignore for now. Level 3, the divorce detective. You're 32. You don't love the work, but it pays. Infidelity cases, the bread and butter of the industry. Suspicious spouses, mostly wives, occasionally husbands, sometimes both at once on separate cases involving the same person, which happened once and was almost funny. You get good at tailing people in cities. You learn to dress like the environment. Business district, dress like you work there. Park, dress like you live there. You learn that cheating people are both more careless and more paranoid than you'd expect. They check their mirrors constantly and then walk straight into the restaurant holding hands. You photograph a city councilman with someone who is not his wife. You hand the envelope to the client, a quiet woman in her 40s, and watch her face when she opens it. She already knew. They always already know. They just need the proof to make themselves believe it. But you go home that night and sit in your car in your own driveway for 20 minutes. You're not sure what you're doing with your life. You're making a living out of confirming the worst suspicions people have about the people they love. Level 4, the corporate spy. You're 36. A law firm finds you through a referral, and the work changes overnight. Corporate investigations, employee theft, embezzlement, trade secret leaks. The money is different. $150 an hour, retainer up front, expenses covered. You buy a real camera. You get a second phone. You start wearing blazers. Your first big case, a logistics company suspects their VP of operations is feeding shipment schedules to a competitor. You spend 3 weeks building a timeline, phone records, financial disclosures, a honey trap email account that he clicks on from his work laptop at 11 p.m. on a Tuesday. When you hand the dossier to the general counsel, she reads it quietly for 4 minutes and then says, "This is clean. This is very clean." You feel something you haven't felt in a while. Pride. But you also realize what you've become good at. Building a case that looks exactly as damning as the client needs it to look. You start to notice how easy it is to shade the emphasis. Which photos you include. Which timestamps you lead with. The truth is in there, but so is the angle. Level 5, the fixer. You're 41, you don't advertise anymore, you don't have a website. Work comes through 3 lawyers, a crisis PR firm, and 1 retired federal agent who calls you twice a year with things he describes only as sensitive. The cases don't have clean names now. A politician's chief of staff calls you because something from the boss's past is about to surface, and they need to know exactly how much the other side already has. A tech founder's family hires you because their son has gotten involved with someone, and the word they use is involved. but what they mean is compromised. A woman pays you in cash, a lot of cash, to find out who has been watching her apartment and why. You find out. You don't always tell the clients everything you find. Sometimes what you find changes who the client is in your mind, and you have to decide in real time what to do with that. And there is no manual for it. But the money is serious now, and serious money has a weight to it. It starts making decisions for you. You take a case you shouldn't. You tell yourself it's the last one like that. It isn't. Level 6, the ghost. You're 47. 3 people know what you actually do for a living. One of them is your accountant. The other 2 are not people you'd invite to dinner. You work internationally now, loosely. You have a guy in London, a woman in Manila, a retired Mossad analyst in Tel Aviv who answers 1 in 4 of your emails and whose answers are always correct. You are not an agency. You are a network of debts and favors and encrypted conversations. The case that defines this level. A hedge fund hires you to investigate a whistleblower before they go public. You find the whistleblower. You find out what they have. And what they have is real. Not a grudge, not a shakedown. Real documented fraud that hurt real people. You sit in a hotel room in Zurich with that information for 2 days. You take the fee. You do not bury the file. You do not hand it to the press. You put it somewhere safe and you tell the fund you found nothing significant. You spend a long time thinking about what you are now. Level 7, the reckoning. You're 54, you're done, or close to done. You have a house, paid off, you have enough. You have a storage unit with files you'll never hand to anyone and a memory for faces that still won't quit. A journalist calls you. She's working on a piece about private intelligence, the gray market, the fixers, the people who operate in the space between what's legal and what's recorded. She's smart. She already knows more than she should. You meet her for coffee and say very little and spend the drive home realizing she got everything she came for anyway. The thing about this work, the thing no one tells you at the beginning, is that the skills don't switch off. You read every room. You notice who looks at their phone when they're nervous and who goes still. You clock the exits. You assume you're being followed sometimes, in parking garages, on quiet streets. And you're right often enough that the paranoia has never fully felt like paranoia. You think about the councilman, the quiet woman with the envelope, the whistleblower in Zurich. You think about all the things you found that you never told anyone. The truth has a half-life in this business. Some of it you've already forgotten. Some of it you'll take with you. You are very good at keeping secrets. You're just not sure anymore whose side you kept them for.